On January 18th, 2024, the Dubuque Police Department in Iowa received a 911 call from a young woman named Christy Fullman. Christy had just found her best friend of 12 years dead inside her home.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
I don't know. I'm on Avoca Street. I need someone right now.
What street are you on?
Avoca.
Avoca? Okay, what's going on?
I was supposed to meet my best friend for coffee. I think she's dead.
You think your best friend is dead? Are you able to check what the address is? Okay. All right, we're going to get help on the way here.
Several units rushed to Avoca Street, but since Christy was too panicked to think straight, she was unable to go outside to provide the exact address. The dispatcher tried to comfort her and figure out exactly what had happened.
All right, just take some deep breaths, okay? What's going on?
I don't know. She's full of blood laying in her bed.
She's full of blood? Is she breathing at all?
I don't know. I don't want to touch her. She won't answer me. She won't up.
Okay, can you see her chest rising and falling at all?
No, I can't look at her.
Okay. It's okay.
Throughout the call, Christy was asked to properly assess the victim's vital signs, but she couldn't muster up the courage to look at her lifeless body again.
Please.
Yep, they're coming. It's okay.
Christy eventually calmed down enough to provide the address, and at 8:51 a.m., Officer Brad Hesselbacher was the first to arrive at the scene. Since nobody was answering the door, the officer entered the residence and made himself known.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Please come here. I don't know what to do.
While a traumatized Christy hid in the kitchen, the officer entered the bedroom and saw 46-year-old Jennifer Dazey lying on her bed, covered in blood with her mouth slightly open. Upon closer inspection, her head and neck had several deep lacerations. Her ring finger was nearly amputated, hanging on by a small piece of flesh, while her middle finger was partially chopped off and had been neatly set on the bedside table. The officer called in the Criminal Investigations Division and escorted Christy outside. He asked her what led up to the discovery of Jennifer's body. She said that she and Jennifer had planned to spend the day together after not seeing each other for the past month. When she arrived at the house that morning, she didn't see Jennifer's car, but Jennifer's son Nick had parked his truck in the driveway. Christy assumed that Nick and Jennifer took her car to pick up some coffee. She decided to let herself into the house, and as she opened the front door, she saw Jennifer's son, 29-year-old Tyler Dazey, standing in the dining room with nothing on. Christy panicked and quickly shut the front door, and moments later, she heard another door close. She assumed that Tyler had gone into his room and it was now safe to enter the home. As she entered the living room, she noticed some sort of hair or fur peeking out from under a blanket on the couch. She lifted the blanket and found Jennifer's dog Echo, unresponsive with a severe injury to his head. Although Jennifer's car was gone and the house was completely silent, Jennifer never left Echo alone, and her purse was sitting on the ottoman in the dining room. Jennifer must have been somewhere in the house. Christy went to her bedroom and knocked on the door, but there was no response. She slowly entered the room, and that's when she discovered Jennifer. After dialing 911, she quickly shut the bedroom door and held it shut until officers arrived. After learning that Tyler was still in the house, Officer Hesselbacher, along with several officers who had just arrived, re-entered the home and went to Tyler's bedroom. He was found lying in a makeshift bed made out of blankets, and he still hadn't gotten dressed.
The first thing I noted was his but then once we got him onto his feet, he had a blank stare on his face. He was moving slowly, lethargically.
The officers were concerned that he ingested some sort of substance before they arrived, so they dressed him in a Tyvek suit, and investigator Kurt Rosenthal and another officer took him straight to the Mercy One Medical Center. Meanwhile, investigators at the crime scene began gathering evidence. In the bathroom, they found a hatchet with a palm print on it. Based on Jennifer's injuries, the investigators believed that this was the murder weapon. Although the obvious suspect was Tyler, since he seemed to be the only one in the house at the time of the murder, the investigators needed to rule out any other possibilities. They inspected all of the entrances and noted that there were no signs of a forced entry, but there were footprints leading to the side door. The last time it snowed in Dubuque was 5 days earlier, on January 13th. So whoever had left these footprints must have left them there sometime within the last 5 days. When they asked Christy about the side entrance, she said that it was always locked because nobody ever used it. So it was strange that there were footsteps leading up to it. Apparently, Jennifer's daughter Kylie was the only one with keys for that door, but it was unclear if she had even kept them after she moved out in September. The investigators decided to track down Kylie so they could speak with her, and worked to obtain the Ring camera footage from the front and side entrances. They also tried to get in touch with Nick to figure out why he left his truck at his mom's house and to see if he had her car. Meanwhile, Tyler was still at the hospital with investigator Rosenthal, waiting for some test results. Although he had copious amounts of THC in his system, the ER staff all agreed that his vitals were stable and he was cognizant, so he was medically cleared. However, the detectives were waiting for the approval of 2 search warrants. One of them was for Tyler's house, and the other permitted them to collect Tyler's urine and blood. Since it's easier to collect his blood at the hospital, they stayed there while they waited for the second warrant to be granted. That's when things got weird.
At some point, did Mr. Dazey indicate he needed to use the bathroom?
Yeah, that was roughly about 25 minutes after we got to the ER. I knew that we were working on getting a search warrant to collect his urine, so I asked him if he could just hold tight. We had some processing to do. That's when he stated to me, "I'm letting go, the keys are yours." And I urged him to just hold on for a couple minutes. He then leaned back in the sofa that he was seated on, and I could hear him urinating inside the Tyvek suit. I was a little disturbed that a grown man wouldn't hold his urine for a couple minutes, and his answer to that was, "Wars are meant to be fought."
About an hour later, the search warrant was granted, and Tyler indicated that he needed to go to the bathroom again.
I told him, "Hey, you don't have to pee in your suit this time. Staff's going to walk in any minute." Within seconds, staff walks in, and as they walk through the front door, or walk into the door of the room, I hear him urinating in his suit again. I scrambled to try to unzip his suit and asked one of the nurses to bring over a collection cup. By the time that happens, we got just a very small sample.
After this wild series of events, they collected his blood and finally transported him to the Dubuque Law Enforcement Center. About 40 minutes after the last bathroom trip, he told the officers that he needed to go again. So Tyler, Rosenthal, and another officer all gathered in the bathroom.
He felt as though he needed to urinate, but he didn't know if he could and thought it might be a couple seconds. He then stated, "I'm not trying to dick you around." I told him, "Hey, we got time. We'll just sit here. Let me know when you need to go." Within a matter of seconds, he said, "Quantum entanglement, brother," and he started urinating. I was only a step away with the cup. I was able to reach into his stream and got a proper sample.
Although it's easy to find humor in such bizarre behavior, Tyler's family claims that he has a long list of psychotic disorders. Due to these disorders, he wound up in the psych ward several times over the years and occasionally ran into trouble with the law. During Tyler's interview, the detective asked him about his relationship with his mother.
His response was, "It's fine, except for when she's acting sneaky like a witch." He then went on to talk about how his mother was part of a covenant of witches.
Tyler said that she was practicing witchcraft just minutes before Christy showed up at the house, and claimed that her witchcraft caused her injuries. When asked what this witchcraft looked like, he described it as his mom putting evil on him.
I then asked him how he felt about his mother practicing witchcraft. And I think that is when he gets into stating something similar to, "I just gave up. I just don't care. I don't need her to validate me." He then followed that comment up with, "Why would I care what a whore thinks? You sit around and drink yourself stupid, fuck like animals, and ruin your children's lives. Why would I care what a person like that thinks?"
The detective asked Tyler if he called his mom these names to her face, and Tyler said yes. He was then asked what her response was.
And he said, "She's a witch. You know how witches are. Oh, I'm better than you. I will be your fear. I will be your enemy.
Tyler then asked to end the interview and he remained in custody while the investigation continued. He made several more obscure comments following his interview as well. The first was when Rosenthal had left the room and Tyler was caught talking to himself in the interrogation footage.
What did he say? What were the comments?
He stated, I would gladly spend an eternity in hell if she could just have a chance at heaven.
He also kept revisiting his claims of witchcraft completely unprompted.
We weren't talking, I wasn't questioning him, and he just stated aloud, witchcraft, brother, witchcraft. A lot that is wrong with my life. When people are trying to get in your way, when you are just trying to pursue happiness. It was at that time I told him he was being arrested for the murder of his mother. His response was, it's hard to argue witchcraft in court, isn't it?
While Tyler was certainly the most eccentric person of interest, he wasn't the only strange character in this case. His sister Kylie was working at the Village Inn 1.6 miles away from the crime scene when her grandma called and told her that her mom had been killed. She was told that the police were looking for her, so she got someone to pick her up from work and drive her to Avoca Street, where she met with the crime scene investigators, whose body cams were rolling. Right off the bat, the officers found it strange how antsy she was to enter the home.
Does no one go? Does no one to one side or?
Also, considering her mom had just died, Kylie seemed much more bubbly than expected.
I didn't know if they let you. Nothing special. I guess this work.
Lieutenant Chad Crable was tasked with transporting Kylie to the station and interviewing her.
Sorry for bouncing around cars.
It's all good. You're just doing your job.
I'm Chad. What's your name?
Hey, nice to meet you.
She showed no signs of grief and continued to smile and laugh throughout her entire interaction with the police.
So we'll go in here again. I'll just throw your backpack. Thanks. Can I get it back to you?
Yeah. You want my pepper spray too?
I'll throw it back here.
I know I'm not going to do anything with it, but
I appreciate that.
Although Kylie knew that her mom had been murdered, for some reason she thought that the cops were looking for her for something unrelated.
Was your cop sent to my house because this?
Yes.
Okay. I was just double checking. I was fighting a domestic case with my mom because she said I slapped her foot.
Okay.
If you're wondering what Kylie is talking about, she was arrested back in September after she moved out of her mom's house. Allegedly, she had gone back to the house and refused to leave, and things escalated until Kylie slapped her mom's foot. Ultimately, nothing came of these charges, but it was clear that Kylie and her mother were not on good terms at the time of her death. Kylie arrived at the police station at 11:10 a.m. and was brought straight to the interrogation room.
Anything else on you that I should know about? Like, just phone and... Perfect. Okay.
Well, I don't think I have anything else.
Sounds good. Can I get you a water pop or anything like...
No, if you do have it.
I'll do a bottle of water. How about
Okay.
that? Yep.
It's entirely possible that Kylie's upbeat attitude is her way of coping under such life-changing circumstances. However, there are several other ways that her demeanor can be interpreted. Perhaps she was laughing and smiling because she really didn't care about losing her mother. Or maybe she was trying to manipulate the detective into seeing her as a kind and warm person, someone who would never commit such a heinous crime. Other aspects of Kylie's behavior were questionable as well, like the several times that she redirected the conversation away from her mother's death. For example, right before the interview began, she appeared more interested in chatting up Officer Crable than getting answers about what happened to her mom.
Okay, my name's Janet. I'm a...
Were you there when I called about a guy coming to my house?
How long ago?
Not that long ago. There was a guy at my house that I used to work for, or not work for, one of my customers.
Oh.
Actually came to my house confessing their love, manic, and the guy that sold my tire before that was the one who dropped him off.
Not good.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
While I'm here, I'm so sorry, I'm all over the word. While I'm here, would I be able to ask about this report after this is done?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Why wasn't Kylie more interested in the details of her mother's death? Was it another coping mechanism, or was there a more insidious reason? If you pay close attention, Kylie's story about her manic stalker could be a sneaky tactic to bolster her alibi.
One of my customers actually came to my house confessing their love, manic, and the guy that sold my tire before that was the one who dropped him off.
If Kylie had a flat tire, it would be very unlikely that she drove across town to her mom's house to kill her. But rather than coming off as defensive by explicitly saying that her car was out of service, she found a way to organically work it into the conversation. However, this was all speculation at this point. The detective needed much more evidence before he could make any bold accusations.
So again, basically I was just asked with trying to get some more information from you about what's going on today. Again, I'm very sorry for your mother's passing. What time did your grandma call you saying that we were in the ambulance about to get back?
9:59. Exactly.
Not 59, perfect.
Because my grandma, the smallest thing, you got to get there.
Yeah, right.
This statement from Kylie made it seem like this was just another case of grandma overreacting to something small. She downplayed her mother's death like this several times throughout the interview, as if it wasn't a big deal to her at all.
You're at work, so you're unable to go, is that right?
Yeah. I don't have my car. My car
Oh,
needs to be fixed because
you didn't have your car.
with my tires, my all-wheel drive is messed up.
Oh.
Yeah, I love it. Just so much. So I'm so calm. Shit always happens.
I'm sorry to hear
It's all good.
that.
In case you missed that, Kylie just referred to her tires being popped and said, "That shit always happens," which is why she's so calm about her mom dying. It's extremely rare for the subject of an interrogation to proactively call out their own suspicious behavior. Kylie, however, is clearly self-aware that her lack of visible concern is off-putting. So she takes every opportunity to explain herself, regardless of how unusual her logic may be. Another example of this is when she explained to the detective why she wanted to keep working after learning that her mom had been killed.
Ron was like, I was like, can't really, being a waitress,
Sure.
and me personally, I don't really deal with death. Hence why I'm so calm, kind of.
Yeah.
But I was like, what's the point of me leaving? Like, it sounds kind of heartless, but it's not like I can do much now.
Sure.
But
Have you had
with how they were reacting, I thought.
It's important to note that Kylie being nonchalant about her mother's death is not a crime. Her suspicious demeanor is only significant if there is other evidence that directly points to her involvement. Grable did note that as the questioning continued, there were several moments that Kylie wiped away tears as they ran down her face.
And dog name?
Echo.
Echo?
She gave her timeline to the detective, saying that she worked all day on the 17th, and a coworker dropped her off at home at about 11 p.m. She was at home all night and left for work just before 8 a.m. on the 18th. By the time the interview concluded, Nick had arrived at the station. He provided his timeline as well, saying that the night of the 17th, he went over to his mom's house to drop off his truck and take his mom's car. Apparently, he was going to Cedar Rapids the next morning, and his truck's check engine light was on. He went back to his house with the car and was there until about 5:30 a.m. when he hit the road for Cedar Rapids. These timelines from Kylie and Nick wouldn't mean much until the detectives clearly established Jennifer's timeline as well. Eventually, the detectives got their hands on Jennifer's Ring camera footage. They started reviewing the footage from the moment Officer Hesselbacher arrived at the scene at 8:51 a.m. and worked their way backwards. 13 minutes earlier, at 8:38 a.m., Christy was captured arriving at the house before discovering Jennifer's body. The next clip was from the night before, at exactly 10:30 p.m. on the 17th, when Jennifer was captured letting Echo back in the front door after a potty break. This is the last time that Jennifer was captured alive, which meant that she had to have been killed at some point between 10:30 p.m. on the 17th and 8:38 a.m. on the 18th. Going back even further on the Ring camera footage, Nick was captured arriving at his mom's house at 7:45 p.m. He visited for about 20 minutes before swapping vehicles with his mom and driving away with her GMC crossover at about 8:05 p.m. According to the Ring employees who released the footage to the detectives, this was the only footage that was saved on the cloud. No activity was captured by the side door camera that could explain the footprints in the snow. Using other cameras throughout the city, the detectives tracked Nick's movements all the way back to the 2400 block of Jackson Street, where he lives with Kylie. Kylie was seen arriving home from work a few hours later, just before 11 p.m. Jennifer's car was on camera all night, and nobody was seen leaving the house until about 5:35 a.m., when Nick got back in the car. He headed south through town and hopped on the highway going towards Cedar Rapids. They also obtained Kylie's cell phone location data, which reflected her being home all night as well. It appeared that Nick and Kylie were nowhere near their mother's house at the time that she was killed. Both of them were ultimately ruled out as suspects. Since Tyler was the only person in the house that night, the detectives were certain that he was their killer. Kylie, who has an active online presence and thousands of followers on TikTok, updated her audience about her mom's murder. The caption read, "Now we celebrate because that's what she would have done. I'll post more soon. #murder, #FYP. By the end of the month, she was back to posting comedy clips, lip syncs, and dance videos. But she also continued to update her fans about Tyler's case as legal proceedings took place. Her videos caught the attention of several media outlets, and during a news interview, she advocated for reform to Iowa's treatment of mental illness. She said that Tyler sought help for many years, but never received proper treatment.
Well, they keep building jails and they're so quick to put someone in jail, but as soon as someone asks for help, they just turn them away.
The day he was booked on murder charges in the Dubuque County Jail, he was placed in a holding cell. It was a place he'd been many times before, and the jail staff said the last time he was at the Dubuque County Jail, he begged for more help, but none was available.
I don't want him to be put away behind bars because he's not going to get help. Maybe a mental institution would be the best thing for him.
Throughout 2024, Tyler was in and out of competency hearings as the court tried to determine whether or not he was fit to stand trial. Although Tyler was initially deemed competent, this decision was later reevaluated, and they determined that he was actually incompetent. Tyler found this decision to be laughable.
I'd like to say this is not one flew over the cuckoo's nest, and I will not be going to a mental institution, and I will not be taking drugs. I am who I am, and I am who I choose to be, not what you say I am. Do you understand, sirs and ma'ams? Okay.
Dazey's biggest concern was being forced to take medication, to the point where he shouted at the judge and his lawyers, stating his constitutional rights were being violated.
Ultimately, Tyler got his way. The decision was reversed yet again, and he was deemed competent. His trial began July 17th, 2024. And surprisingly, he wasn't there. In a letter addressed to the judge, he expressed his devotion to God and said that he wouldn't participate in legal proceedings. So, the trial commenced without him. Christy was the first of the state's witnesses to take the stand. She described the unhealthy dynamic between Jennifer and Tyler.
Sometimes they would laugh and joke, other times he would name call and she would just smile and act like it didn't hurt her feelings.
What kind of words was he calling her?
He would call her, whether he was angry with her or joking around. It was just something he would always say.
After giving a detailed account of the day that she discovered Jennifer's body, she was cross-examined by the defense. They primarily questioned her about who had access to the house other than Tyler. This line of questioning quickly overwhelmed Christy.
Kylie and Jennifer had the keys to the back door.
Yes. When Kylie lived there.
Okay.
I don't know if she ever returned them when she moved out in September.
And you don't know that anybody else had a key to that back door?
No, I have no idea.
On the front door, how was this door secured?
It had a keypad code. I need to stop.
Can we take a break?
Yeah. Do you know who has the code for the keypad?
Me, Jenny, all of our children, probably a few others.
Already, they are planting the seed in the jury's mind that someone else could have access to the house and killed Jennifer before Christy arrived. Lieutenant Crable was called to the stand as well. The state glossed over photos of the crime scene, and when asking him if the footprints near the side door seemed fresh, he said that it was hard to say if anything was fresh, but there were no signs of a forced entry or a disturbance to the door itself. During cross-examination, the defense once again focused primarily on the side entrance.
This porch right here is kind of what you were talking about, where the footprints, where it looked like somebody had been walking, correct?
That's correct.
And you can't definitively say when that happened, correct?
That's right.
This is the footprints that you observed, correct?
That appears consistent with what I observed outside that side door.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you remember the last time that it snowed before this?
That looks like on the 13th, so 5 days prior.
And so these footprints probably would have had to been within the last 5 days. Is that correct?
I would say that's hard for me to say, but I would suggest it's probable that else the footprints or the concrete would be covered up with the new snow, I would say.
If somebody left these footprints within the 5 days that Jennifer's body was discovered, why didn't the Ring camera capture them? Well, the defense then shifted the focus onto Kylie. They played her interrogation and pointed out her suspiciously gleeful demeanor. They then asked Crable if he determined whether or not Kylie still had keys to her mother's house.
In your investigation, did you ever find out if she had any keys to the house?
I did not.
They then established that Kylie also knew the passcode to her mother's phone.
Were you able to get possible passcodes for Jennifer Dazey's phone?
Kylie provided me 2 potential passcodes for her phone.
Did she give any indication where the account for her mother's Ring doorbell would be?
Yes, her mother's cell phone.
The defense was implying that Kylie could have accessed her mother's phone and deactivated the Ring camera before using her keys to sneak in through the side door. The investigators also never checked Kylie's phone to see if she had the Ring app on it as well. The state addressed the defense's theory by saying that the pictures of the footprints submitted as evidence clearly show concrete underneath the footprint. Since the stairs to the door are made of wood, this footprint must have been on the driveway. The state suggested that there was no clear evidence that someone had even approached the stairs, and that's why the Ring camera was never activated. They also defended Kylie by asking Crable his opinion about her demeanor.
In your 9 years as an officer, would you be able to say you would be able to predict how a certain person would respond to grief or trauma?
No.
So you wouldn't say that the way she reacted is unusual, generally speaking?
No.
On day 2, Tyler wasn't present once again, and the defense explained to the judge why.
He has indicated that he does not want to be here today, that it is the Sabbath and it is a religious day for him.
Okay. All right. Very good.
As the trial played out, the defense tried to instill reasonable doubt in the jury in a multitude of ways, such as suggesting that the hatchet may not be the murder weapon, and questioning how thorough the police department's investigation was. But they always brought the focus back to Kylie's potential involvement. Investigators testified that they never checked the door for any fingerprints and never asked Kylie if she had the keys. One of the officers even spoke to Gina Schletty, known as the unofficial neighborhood leader, and she said that Jennifer and Kylie had an ongoing dispute because Kylie wouldn't return the keys after moving out. Additionally, no search of Kylie's residence was conducted, and nobody asked Kylie to bring in the clothes she was wearing on the night of the murder. But didn't the state have video evidence that Kylie didn't leave her house that night? It turns out that Kylie and Nick's house has a back entrance that was out of view from the traffic light camera, so it was entirely possible that she had snuck out of the house. The investigators also didn't confirm if Nick had actually made it to Cedar Rapids, and they didn't investigate the possibility of him turning around after leaving Dubuque. After a 3-day trial, the jury was sent to deliberate, and just a few hours later, they returned with a verdict.
As to count 1 on the charge of murder in the first degree, we, the jury, find the defendant, Tyler Dazey, guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree. As to count 2 on the charge of animal abuse, we, the jury, find the defendant, Tyler Dazey, guilty of the crime of animal abuse.
Tyler remained in jail until his sentencing hearing on September 4th, 2024, when he finally decided to show up in court. Several members of the Dazey family gave their impact statements, including Susan Dazey, Tyler's grandmother, who forgave her grandson despite the unbearable grief of losing her daughter.
Tyler, I'm going to direct this at you. You didn't think you were loved, and you didn't think you were wanted, but you were wrong. Your mother wanted you, and she loved you very, very much. Did she make mistakes at the mom? You bet. We all do. But I'm going to ask you to go to jail or prison with this. I forgive you every day of my life. I love you, but I'm mad.
The rest of the family followed suit, telling Tyler that he was loved, but still holding him accountable for his actions.
You need to learn to take responsibility for what you did to your mom. I will always love you and remember the person I once knew, but I don't know you anymore. I hope that you will get the help you need, whether it be in a hospital or prison, but you are better out of society. Everyone will be safer without you.
Tyler, I want you to hurt as much as I do. Not in a malicious way, but in a way that echoes the profound emptiness left by the absence of my sister. You are unwell, desperately in need of care and treatment. Our current system has failed you, and it is a failure that we must rectify. The world is a dimmer place without Jenny's light. She will forever be 46, vibrant soul silenced far too soon. She was a remarkable woman, and her legacy will live on.
The last person to give their impact statement was none other than Kylie, who scolded her brother for his monstrous actions that ruined her family.
Tyler, it's so sad how loved you were. And to see how you are now. This isn't what I used to remember at all. And I know it hurts you. And if it doesn't, that's so sad. I'm sorry that you're that far gone. Seriously. How does it feel to lose your whole family? You feel okay still? Because that's not okay. I have one person left. You're messed up.
Tyler clearly didn't take his sister's statement seriously. He began laughing at her and snapping back with remarks of his own, even accusing her of conspiring to kill their mother.
You can think you have God, but that's not a real God at all. I don't know what you have going on.
10 Commandments.
Okay.
Bear false witness. You killed mother.
Okay. Look at you. This is sad.
You and Christy and Katie, conspiracy to commit murder.
Okay.
Mr. Dazey, let her speak. Let her finish.
I hope you enjoy life in prison.
I can live forever. I have God. Where's your God?
I'm glad you're getting
Ma'am, finish what you want to say.
I enjoy that. At least you have some type of feeling.
Read the Bible.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
You're making a show of mother's death. Huh? How does that make you feel wearing that skirt?
After the courtroom drama was over, the judge handed down Tyler's sentence.
For count 1 on the offense of murder in the first degree, I sentence you to a term in prison for the rest of your life with no opportunity for parole.
Tyler Dazey is currently serving his sentence at the Iowa State Penitentiary in Fort Madison, where he will remain for the rest of his life. Kylie has made several TikToks maintaining her innocence and addressing hate comments from people familiar with the case.